investors and founders, choosing a team that delivers.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Bono. I'm the CEO of Quantum Gaming, and we're here today to talk about investors and founders choosing a team that delivers. So I'd like to welcome on stage our panelists, Alex Wicén, CEO of Unibo. Give him a warm hand. Mariya Spartalis, if I said that correctly, partner at Terreus Capital. Jean-Robert Schutte, I'm going to guess, co-founder, crypto trader, and coach at CryptoAcademy. And last but not least, Nikolay Shestak, partner at Zubr Capital. Fantastic. So I just want to kick off quickly because this is actually quite a topic, and I know we're going to run out of time on this one. So I thought it was a good idea. We had a brief discussion in our group just to give a little bit of pretense into what we should be talking about. A subject like this is actually quite close to the heart because we've recently launched out a business. We were funded by a VC. Quantum Gaming has recently come to market. We've had a very successful run, but building the team and the human capital was actually one of our biggest challenges. And I want to kind of keep it less Q&A and really talk about the experience that you guys have in regards to building this out. So we started a small team based mainly in Belgrade, actually, because we found that was the location that really matched the talent requirements that we had. So the reason I'm saying this, and one of the most interesting things today, that I find that businesses really need to be dynamic in their approach to staff. I think every geo complements a certain level of personnel, and this is the approach that we've taken. So what I want to kick off really with a question, just Alex, I want to start with you, a little bit about your opinion. When choosing a location to start a business, I mean, what is the first thing that you ask yourself? Is it regulation, tax, or is it human capital?
I think in our case it was regulation and tax, but we do have quite a lot of remote workers. So it's more about who you have and the skills you need and getting the right people to do the right job. But obviously keeping the people is one of the hardest things, and keeping them inspired and keeping them so they stay along for a longer period of time. Having someone working for 4 or 5 years instead of having someone working for 1-2 years have a huge impact on the effect and effectiveness that they have in the business for you.
Yeah, 100%. And that's something that we've been actually bringing up quite a lot. Trust today, trust in your employees. The ability to leave your staff, let's say, I wouldn't say entirely unmanaged, but at least to operate with a sense of their own authority, which has really changed. And one of the main difficulties we've seen from an investment front, and I'm just going to take a little bit, maybe this might be a negative analogy, but a lot of businesses we're seeing today, especially those taking the full remote practice, are struggling. They're struggling on the performance front, and it's something that we really want to, like, Nikolay, I saw you nodding your head there, so I want to jump straight into that because, coming from, a business that was literally set up by a VC, our approach was no remote. And I'm just going to assume that you might have struggled with the whole remote concept.
I think that the remote concept, we will see the results of it in a couple of years. So it's still, the train is still running, yeah? So therefore, I'm not sure that we 100% got used to the situation. Moreover, what we see right now, even within our portfolio companies, because some of them, they're purely IT-focused companies, that some of them, they made a recommendation to their staff to come into the office. Because sometimes, this office chemistry, when you just deal with your colleagues, brings a lot of value to the whole team. Plus, to my mind, again, because we are really crazy about leaders. All our portfolio companies, they were started, all our due diligence processes were started with HR due diligence and leader. And to my mind, it's quite difficult to feel your leader remotely. So leaders should definitely come and interact, not necessarily about work, but sometimes you have to feel the leader. I don't know, we will see. Still, the future is somewhere in between. I still believe that there will be some combination of remote and traditional type of work. And still what we see right now within our portfolio company, that some of them, they set up different hubs and regular meetings with the staff in order to feel each other. And this is a good idea to my mind.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely need to have communication, and a hybrid system works. I think it's more of a traditional sense where we always found that atmosphere in the office is priority. And, not to go too much into the whole HR concept, but, looking at it from an investor standpoint, choosing the right people is important, especially when you're looking at businesses in our industry or vertical. Setting up a business in tech or gaming is expensive, and the majority of your cost today is going to be human capital. So this is something that we really try to monitor and assess the best locations to actually build teams in. So what we've ended up doing is having so many different satellite offices, which we found complemented, the business structure, especially in gaming. One of the best development teams I've seen in my life are in Belarus. So we decided back-end development goes there. Front-end development is in Belgrade. So we simply matched whichever location best suited the needs of the company. As a result, a lot of people say, well, isn't it expensive and more difficult to run multiple offices? It's much more expensive to lose staff or try and find, senior back-end developers in the likes of Malta or Cyprus, because there isn't a lot. It's not, let's say, the most proficient or available role. So Jan, I just want to switch over to your experience a little bit over there, looking at the business side, looking at crypto, which is kind of a very new market. Where do you find talent? What from an investor standpoint, where are you seeing the places that you can actually invest and build businesses?
You mean jurisdiction-wise or country-wise?
Both jurisdiction, geo, human capital.
Well, I'm founder of CryptoAcademy.nl in the Netherlands, and there I noticed that the regulators and the environment in the Netherlands, although Amsterdam is a very bright and brilliant city, I think that they are losing the struggle a little bit with countries like Cyprus or Dubai, for instance, the city, which are more accommodative, I think, also on the legislation basis. Regulators are more willing to listen to projects, and that is what I cheer very much. And also, if you take a look at Binance in the United States, even in the United States, also old economy, with all respect, but they're losing field on that respect. So I think, the crypto market is coming more to the East and Middle East, and that's also with my team. I've got also a team, and we are more focused on investors from private angle, but also when I am talking with investors, big investors, and then you come to the conclusion that the investors, they have, as an investment company, you have good knowledge, I think, not only about technology and the numbers, but also in the regulation space. And that is where I see much room for lawyers, for instance, especially tech lawyers.
Well, you said it yourself. The Middle East seems to be more accommodating, and in all fairness, Cyprus is in the Middle East, even though it's an EU country. There's a lot of growth here. I mean, 𝐶SEC has done a very good job on regulation in crypto, and I think what happens naturally is as governments kind of support those markets, naturally educational facilities start to accommodate for those individuals. It's similar to what Malta had done, with the gaming industry. Yeah. And sorry, you want to jump in?
I would like to add on. Actually, Cyprus was previous years was a banana republic, with all respect, because the regulators were sleeping or not doing anything. Many scam companies were here, whether it be forex brokers, and that's why people are very afraid to go to Cyprus, to invest in Cyprus, and that is completely reversed. I think it's even better now, and even the 𝐶SEC did very good job to tighten the regulations, also to be more compliant in Europe. And that's why I want to say that also the government is more accommodative. I saw that in the 𝐶SEC also very good presentation. So I think that Cyprus is also steaming outwards.
I hope so, because we've just set up all our businesses over here. Mariya, you wanted to jump in?
Hi. Before I introduce myself and tell you about stuff in our company in Switzerland, I would like to ask our speaker, why do you carry this book with you? It's like crypto trading. What does it mean? Why
Yeah,
do you
the
take
thing
it
is
on
that
panel?
I got so many questions. I've been in the crypto space since 2015. I didn't even know what a Bitcoin was, and I threw the Bitcoin away because I didn't know how it worked. 2017, entered the market, and I get all the time answers and questions about cryptos. What is it? So I got the legacy, the old economy, the old financial sector. How can I make the switch? How can I make the jump to the crypto market? And that is what I'm also describing in this book, how to evaluate projects, how to make your investments properly.
It's a great
Yes.
guidance called crypto trading for ambitious beginners.
Yeah.
It's very nice. Can I
But
introduce?
do your own research.
Of course,
yes.
please, Mariya,
It's,
go on.
it's
Just to stay on.
It's
Yes.
bridging my
And,
activity.
and you're from which background are you from actually?
Yes, me, I was born in Ukraine and I moved to Europe 25 years ago. I become a private banker, wealth manager, moving capitals around Eastern Europe and consulting wealthy clients. Later on, I become a head of the first crypto bank, Falcon, in Switzerland. And, you know, it's interesting because my speciality is I'm a partner of Terreus Capital, which is a family office. So we consult the wealthy clients of the old world, the wealthy clients, the new clients like casino owners, gaming, online gaming, and different other crypto investors. And we are alleged to work with banks in Switzerland, Luxembourg, Liechtenstein, Dubai, all around the globe, and have two categories of investors, like old money and the new money.
So going on to that, and obviously, you know, you seem to have a real good knowledge, especially when it comes to the investment side.
Right.
So, like, to keep it to today's topic,
Yeah.
where are you seeing the investment? Where are you seeing, you know, the right geos to build your teams, to place your human capital?
Exactly. Look, we are working, now we have an internal team, and we are working with various bank teams. So for sure, we combine two or three strategies. First of all, it's a very good, well-established relationship with the bankers and bank. It's old school. Second, we outsource with artificial intellect and different other, you know, companies who are working with different know-hows, the best strategies for investment for our clients. Or, you know, the third point is we analyze the needs of our clients. And we are implementing our team for analyze the needs and for implementing the strategies in the banks. So we work with both. We work with technologies and with all the connections of traditional bankers.
Clear. So switching gear and jumping back to the subject, Alex, I want to talk to you a little bit about this as well, because I know we've probably been in the same boat a few times. And we also mentioned this online. So it's interesting to see, you know, the crypto market and the gaming markets, they have similar problems. You know, finding the right developers, finding the right talent. We mentioned this online, but in the early days, when you're building a business, you've recently, you know, been through this whole stage. You know, what was the decisions you made when you're building your human capital? Because I always go, and sometimes my investors look at me and go, are you sure you want to hire a junior and train them? Are you sure you want to go with a recruitment agency? You know, what are the first steps you take when you're building out your team?
Yeah, I mean, what we did was we focused a lot on getting a good development partner with us. So we started in Poland, and we worked with them for 4 years, and we got to a point where it actually didn't really work so well anymore. So now we've actually recently moved to Vietnam, our development there. So now we have 2 teams there, and it's working a lot better. Our management team, we're working remotely, but we're all have been working together for 15 years. So it's a whole different kind of story there. I mean, we know each other inside out. So I think when you build a team, you need to have strong personal connections with your management team, and they need to be invested in the company as well, so you can focus on building the company together and getting to a point where, yeah, you make an exit together, and everyone's happy, hopefully in the end, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, ultimately that's one of the first questions as well that you want to build. One of the most interesting things that, you know, we had to assess in the early days of quantum gaming was, you know, what is the strategy? Are we going to jump out after 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? And building your team does make a difference over here, because I think in the early days, if you've got a very good idea, a USP, and something that locks in, you know, your network, then you can outsource. So we actually went down the outsourcing route as well. We initially tried in India. Unfortunately, that didn't go as well as I anticipated. So we had to rebuild. We actually had 3 attempts at this. It took 2 years, but we got it right. Initially, we built India. Then we went to Serbia, and we realized, front-end development was the place to be over there. Eventually, we settled on Belarus as the back end. And it works really, really well for us. But, these were one of the questions that we're getting from our investors. What is the reason for these decisions? And it's very easy to look back now and say, oh, if only I went to Belarus first, or if only I went to Vietnam first.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm going to be looking at Vietnam. Are we talking back-end developers or both?
These guys that we work with are very strong in both areas, and we get a lot for the investments that we make there.
Well, that's what you need to do. At the end of the day, it's, what bang for your buck. And this is something that a lot of investors need because it's a highly competitive market. 80% of tech businesses out there are failing. A lot of the startups today, sorry, and by that I mean the startups, new businesses struggle. It's very, very expensive to get it going. I mean, as I said, 70-80% of our cost is developer costs. Nikolay, what about you? What's your take on building the teams, internationally?
Maybe may I raise a few, to my mind, also quite important points regarding teams. It's also about the communities and education, to my mind, because when you start your business, you think like 10 years ahead. And during this period, you still need stuff and you still need the development and this fuel for the development. And to my mind, it's also quite a key one because you mentioned about Belarus, and it's not a surprise because Belarus and gaming is quite good, and good because of a few success stories. And right now, if you will go, for example, to some school in Belarus and ask pupils who you want to be, of course they want to be Mr. 𝐒𝐭𝐨𝐬𝐬, yeah, because it's a great story for them to focus on. And here it's, by the way, one of the advantages of Cyprus, to my mind. It's also quite an interesting point to my mind because we saw during the previous 2-3 years a huge development of the whole ecosystem. So there are lots of people with whom you can at least share the ideas. And this is something that could also, first of all, improve yourself as a person who think about the development. And at the same time, this is also something that could improve your teams because your staff, they're also communicating with each other. And that's also quite an important point to my mind. Speaking about geographies, this is also about not only about, let's say, the people who already exist, but it's also about the potential of this or that geography. That's, to my mind, quite important.
Yes, I agree with you because being the head of the crypto bank, I started flying to Cyprus and meet the crypto community. I also want to highly recommend Crypto Cafe with 𝐒𝐭𝐸𝐬𝐬. Everybody who is in Cyprus, these the guys are meeting every week. And I find we have a very strong, generally IT and crypto community in ex-Soviet Union, like in Ukraine, Russia, and countries, and many of them are flying on some definite reasons because of visa or some other situation. There is a hub here in Cyprus where they meet, so you can outsource for sure a very good people for your company.
100%, and Cyprus is really good at creating this community. But it also, every country has its drawbacks. When we once upon a time, many gaming businesses used to move to Malta because of the low labor costs. Today, it's one of the most expensive places to build a team. Here in Cyprus, you have fantastic tax incentives. And we found, certain roles, finance, sales, very, very strong in Cyprus. But the tech market, I think, is still quite young. Someone told me recently that there are around 10,000 people working in software development. If you compare it to a population of nearly 1 million, that's actually quite low, but it is moving up very, very quickly. And I think as the government adopts more and more regulation around this space, it's only going to grow. But, we're here today to talk about kind of investing, the investors and the founders, what key decisions you make at the beginning. And if you're working with funding or VCs, it's not easy to convince your investors, listen, we need 4 or 5 offices. It is a tough thing to do. And this is the global market we work in. If you put all your eggs in one basket, you know, one of my fears, I'm just going to throw it out there, that having our entire development team in Belarus, you know, when politics kick off, we have a transactional issue over there. We cannot pay their salaries at this point in time.
Exactly, and that's why everything comes to transactions and to the banking. And I would like to ask you, gentlemen, about, because you are connected to casino and gaming business, in which countries which countries are transaction friendly for your business? It's also important, you know, to pay salaries and to maintain your business and to collect your assets if you're a business owner, to invest and reinvest in business.
That's a very good question. So, I mean, every country has its drawbacks. You know, I love how you've turned the question around, but
because it's my job. I help your business to solve the problems with the banks.
Look, it really depends where. You know, once upon a time I would have said Malta, but today to open a bank account in Malta is near to impossible. If you already have the account, then you can, no problem transacting. Getting the account is the problem. Cyprus today is a little bit easier. The banking system is more mature than many European countries. And that's actually from my own experience.
But it's changing too over the 5 or 10 years. Huh?
Look, if you want to build a crypto business, I would say Dubai, definitely. You know, Middle East.
For how many years?
Well, that's always a good question. The only issue with the Middle East is that you're outside of the SEPA zone, but ultimately, it's still one of the most financially friendly to the crypto market. Not gaming yet, but this is changing as we speak. Jean?
Right now, yes.
Sorry,
yes.
I totally agree, Dubai for sure. And if you take a look in Europe, I would say Lithuania. I've been 5 times in Lithuania. I was also having coffee at the team of the central bank. They're very, you can enter the. It used to be now, but Revolut, for instance, the biggest fintech bank in the new bank in Europe, it's the biggest. They moved, I think, also from London to Vilnius, Lithuania. I would also add then Lithuania to take a look at that.
It is interesting, and jokes aside, I spent the last 6 years back and forth from Lithuania. It's a great place. More than 250 EMIs have opened up in the last 5 years. It's great. It's great to have your bank account. My bank account's in Lithuania. But when you want to build a team there and you've got to pay your 60 to 70% tax, that's when you feel it. So you can bank in the Baltics, but the tax issue, that's what gets you. So, you know, again, you have to have a hybrid model. You need to have your developers in one place, your bank in another place, and if you're not prepared to do that, you know, this is something that's going to be a struggle.
Then you come to Terreus Capital and to me, and I'm going to help you.
Fantastic. I mean, I think there's a lot of businesses here looking for this. Unfortunately, this has actually run out really quickly. This was a very interesting topic.
Yeah.
So, sorry guys, we have to jump off the stage. I want to say thank you to our panelists, and I hope everyone enjoys the rest of the show.